Okay, when the lights come up, everybody run for it. Gone with the Wind occupies a strange place in our cultural consciousness. It's both the most wildly popular and revered film of all time, and one of the most controversial. Moonlight and Magnolias, a farcical psychodrama on stage at Theatre Memphis through April 11th, goes way behind the scenes to show the strange and stressful story of how the screenplay for Gone with the Wind was written, and also to explain this mysterious, contradictory relationship we have with a bodice ripper of a film that ennobles the slave-based culture of the Old South.
Moonlight and Magnolias, give me a break.
You know why you're here?
Well, you have a screenplay problem, you need the dialogue punched up, some character stuff fixed. Why else would you call me in?
I need an entire new scenario.
I love movies, and I love the story about how this movie was created. I think for me the most fascinating part is that it shows creative people working, and most of the conflict in the picture are the conflicts from the creative people on this one, and that intrigues me.
The New York critics weren't kind to Moonlight and Magnolias when it opened at the Manhattan Theatre Club in 2006. Writing for the New York Times, Charles Isherwood described playwright Ron Hutchison's comedy as being a shrill, silly, labored attempt to elicit the comic possibilities of a backstage drama. Isherwood had a point. It's not a great script. But turning three of Hollywood's biggest behind-the-scenes stereotypes, the egomaniacal producer, the swaggering director, and the effete writer, into its biggest on-screen stereotype, the hooker with a heart of gold, now that has real possibilities. The playwright even overcomes his own ham-fisted dialogue and effectively uses the homophobia and the anti-Semitism that was prevalent even in the very gay, very Jewish world of Hollywood in the late 30s as a mirror for Gone with the Wind's well-known cultural insensitivities. He suggests that as an artifact from Hollywood's golden age, Gone with the Wind may be at least a little more savvy and a little more complex than its critics will usually allow.
You know what we're going to do? What? We're going to give every last one of you 40 acres and a mule.
And a mule?
40 acres and a mule.
Gee, because we're your friend.
And you're going to become voters. And you're going to vote like your friends do.
Gone with the Wind screenwriter Ben Hecht is a Chicago newspaperman who worked on some incredible films, Scarface, The Front Page, and Some Like It Hot. But in Moonlight and Magnolias, he's primarily depicted as a dizzy, largely ineffectual liberal intellect learning how to compromise his values from the bombastic Selznick and the swaggering, hypermasculine director Victor Fleming. At Theatre Memphis, Hecht is played by veteran actor Tony Isbell.
I, of course, was aware of him and of some of the things he had written, but I had not read that much about him. I did some research for this role, of course, and found out that he was, in fact, a huge supporter of the Jewish cause his entire life, but especially around the Second World War. And in fact, there was even a ship named after him while he was still alive by the State of Israel, because he was such a huge supporter of the State of Israel. And in fact, according to his autobiography, at least the basic part of what happens in this play actually occurred. He says that all this stuff actually happened. Now, I'm sure this is exaggerated, but he claims that it happened. Whether he's telling the truth or just exaggerating himself, who knows?
Victor Fleming, the award-winning director behind such films as The Wizard of Oz and Test Pilot, is portrayed here by Barclay Roberts.
I'm nothing like him. He was actually a pretty dashing kind of man about town, but it's great fun because I don't usually get to do these kinds of roles. Obviously, Tony and Jerry are people that I've worked with in the past, as well as Bennett, and it's a blast on stage each night with them because we talk to each other hopefully when it's working. We're having a great time, and also, I tend to be a little bit of I tend to go for plays that have big messages and meaning, and this doesn't. But this comes at a time maybe where we just need some entertainment, and there's something to be said for that. It's just a good time to come and sit down and relax, and everybody have a good time and laugh.
Stepping into the rather large shoes of David O. Selznick, the iconic Hollywood producer behind such films as Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca, Prisoner of Zenda in the original A Star is Born is Memphis director and actor Jerry Chipman.
It's about three egos. That song from Falsetto's about three Jews in a room bitching. This is two Jews and one wasp in a room bitching. It's great fun. It's great fun because of the two guys I'm doing it with. Love.
Okay, so Moonlight and Magnolias isn't Shakespeare. Maybe it's not even Gone with the Wind. But it isn't really supposed to be. For the most part, this is a piece of nostalgic candy for fans of what, for better and worse, is a certifiable American classic. And for critics willing to give this silly, squawking comedy a second gloss, it may actually provide at least a little food for thought.
I'll go home. And I'll think of some way to get him back. After all, tomorrow is another day.